Good. So, as I said, every one of you probably already have an idea one day, like when you were in the train, the bus, at your home, between two clouds, looking in the sky. And the thing is, like, when you got an idea, most of the time you will put it on a list of ideas to do later, like an entrepreneur business, something like that, etc. And you may forget about it because you have other project going on or thing like that. And one day you are in the grocery shop and you see someone, for example, scanning a product and seeing the nutrition score on the application. And you'll be like, oh, I got that idea before. I could have made it. And maybe you are a bit deceived, like sad about that. But the thing is, for me, it's more about like seeing, for example, you see that, and me, I will be more maybe, I'm glad I'm not the one to tell that everything you eat is bad. So because of that, what I'm saying is the idea, what is important is not only to have an idea, but is also to execute, to try it, because an idea gets value only when you try it. And otherwise, it's just an idea, it's worth nothing. It's not because you have an idea that you are like the super boss or girl, not at all. You have to try it. And why I'm saying that is because for me, as a student here, and for you, maybe in the future, the luck you will have here is to have some time to do the ideas. Because having the ideas is one thing, having the time to do it and being on the right moment is also something different that you should have in order to try. So basically another example about that is like, for example, in the 60s in Switzerland, you had already in the grocery shop the automatic cash machine to pay yourself. You didn't have the electronical stuff like now, of course, but you have that one. That was self-service. There was like 5 or 6 different ones in the grocery shop. You just go. Of course, there was still one person to help you if you need, but you just type yourself the stuff. And why I'm saying that, it's because that was an idea. It was already executed, and then it disappeared. It worked for one time because in Switzerland we lack of people to work in that kind of work position. So we had that idea and it worked for that time. And then we got more people to work, so we don't need it anymore, and it got away. And the basic point here is like it's also having the idea in the right moment. So having the time to do the idea and having it in the right moment will make an idea successful or not. And all about that is about why EHL is the right moment for you to execute also an idea and things like that. So I'm John Youth. Nice to meet you guys. This is me at 3. I'm saying 3, but in fact I have no idea. Looking abroad, like about being curious about something, probably playing with some Lego, maybe a what. Actually, this is in EHL, I think. I'm not 100% sure, but I think. And my parents here, why I'm talking about my parents? Because my mom is Swiss, from the German part, so if you know, it's like really you respect the rule and everything. It's a bit cliche, I know, but let's do in the cliche for that. And my father is from Romania originally, and like what I like to say, it's more like it has a character, you go and you try the thing, etc. Basically, the example, you are in the airport, in the queue for checking your passport, you just came back from another country. My mom will be like, oh, we have to do that queue because it's for the Swiss passport and Schengen space. And of course, everyone is doing that queue because you came from Europe, so everyone is from Europe. And my father is like, yeah, but the other queue said all passport, and Swiss passport is also an old passport, so we can go there. There is no one. So yeah, of course, they talk a lot. Basically, at the end, we spend 10 minutes talking together, the two of them, so we are slower. In any case, we choose one over the other. But most of the time, me, for example, I will choose the one where is old passport to gain time. The problem when you do that, when you succeed into keeping your ID, into going it, sometimes you can be judged. For example, in the border control, the guy will look at your passport. He will say, okay, it's fine, it's a Swiss passport. He cannot say no. But he look at you like you should have to the other queue, But he let you go. So don't be afraid of judgment. That's what I want to say. Also, if you want to try something, to do an entrepreneur journey or something like that, you will automatically try things that no one has done before, maybe. And then you may have some judgment, but don't be discouraged with that. On the opposite, try to get the judgment to understand what they are thinking and to discuss with them. So, also another point, I was talking about Lego because at that time I was already an entrepreneur. I was building some houses and selling them to my grandmother. Of course, it was Lego houses. What I mean by that is like the cultural things and the thing you do when you are a child, of course, will influence you, but not only. It's not because I have 2 different parents. Why I was talking about my parents is because, of course, when you are young and you always say people talking as the parent that have different point of view, you will a lot question things and be curious, etc. But this you can start also today. If you go around people that do other ideas, that have other point of view like you, etc., that you really try to talk with them, to befriend, etc., then you will also have another point of view, and automatically will come. It will make you more curious, etc. This is also what the Innovation Village will give you, is people with their own point of view, entrepreneurship journey, all different, so you have a lot to talk, to get, etc. So you don't need to have that from children. It can start tomorrow if you want. And then why? Just a second. So why being an entrepreneur? That's what the point. Yes, it's the right one. So basically, it can come from other points of view. This is my point of view. For me, it was more about being able to listen to myself, to my emotion. A lot of people will say, for the cliche, oh yeah, I want to make money, I want to control everything, etc. But most of the time at the end, if you really talk to them a lot, they would say it's more about being able to listen to myself and do what I really like to do, and take some adventure also, of course. But yeah, being an entrepreneur is all about having the choice of giving yourself the opportunity to do what you want. And of course, you need to be a bit creative and curious for that. So try to still entertain that. And so other point with that is like EHL will provide you also another kind of classroom. Because if you go to the normal university, you will be with 2, 3, 4, 500 other people in the same room. If you are the kind of person that, for example, you start to read a book and at the end of the page you are like, what did I just read? If you are the kind of person to put your YouTube videos on speed 2 every time or something like that, mostly maybe you are bored easily in the class. Maybe you are already bored now, I don't know. This can be a kind of thing that can also talk to you. If I told you that more the class is small, the smaller the class is, the better it is for you to be focused, to train, etc. So this is what the kind of thing EHL can provide you also. And for me, it was really important because I will tell you later, but first I started EPFL. And for me now, being able to do in EHL with more focused group and smaller group and activities that are in the industry already is really interesting. So yeah. Oh, actually, I already forgot the quiz. Sorry for that. So let's start with the quiz. So actually, you should now all have no new thing. So because there is chocolate to win, the quiz is not that easy. So don't be worried if you don't always get all the points, especially every time the first question is a bit more difficult. Should it start now, I guess? Interesting. A lot of different point of view. Why would you mostly like to be an entrepreneur? I have 1 person that doesn't want to be an entrepreneur. I have 10 people that want to be free to listen their emotions. 3 that want to be free to control everything. 8 to be free to make money how I want. And 7 to be more flexible with my time. Okay, let's continue. So, here. Why I'm showing that? Because, so, I did the high school. And in the high school in Switzerland, you have to do a final project. And the project I wanted to do was about a TV show that's called Stargate that was finished at that time. And the idea I had is, can I not write some scenario and film that in a video game? Actually, we took Minecraft at the time because there was a lot of people doing some TV show in Minecraft. Basically, you build the own building for the TV show and you film the people playing, doing some scenario thing, etc., and then you add the voice. That was the idea. I suggested that on a small forum. Some people were interested. And we did a small team. Of course, when you want to present your project, the first thing you are thinking about is doing a website to present what you are doing. So I had to learn how to do a website. This is really interesting because Thank you. Why not? The best way to learn usually is by practicing and by doing something that you really want to do. To be in touch with what you do. So, what's happening? Oh, it's... Sorry. Bon. Okay, so you have to be in contact with what you do. And when I was building the website, I have to learn by myself on internet how you build a website. At the time, you didn't have WordPress or Wix or that easy stuff. Or you had it, but it was more complicated. So I tried to learn HTML, and it's the code. And basically, I did the web page. It was great. When you click on Learn More, you get on another page that explains you. And there was no button to go back. No home button, as you said. The first fail I made. But it was really funny because it was more laugh. And I was kind of still proud because you can make failure if you try something. but at least you tried. You know, there is the thing like saying in America, if you try to do a company, the people will look at you like, oh, he tried. And in Europe, they will look at you like, oh, you failed. Like, you know, the different point of view. Of course, it's changing now, which is really good, because now you are really allowed to fail more and more. And basically, being at EHL will also allow you to fail because you don't have a salary to win. You don't have to live from what you do directly, so you have more time also for doing that. So that's the main point. And plan your resources also. Why I'm saying that? Because to do our project, we needed to have a server. A server is kind of a computer to build the thing, etc. And I didn't have at that time. I was young, like 10 years ago. And someone come to us and said, oh, okay, I have a server. I don't use it. Just take it. And we take it to use it. And that was really nice. But we still failed the project. We didn't film everything, etc., because we didn't plan enough before trying. So don't just try something because, oh, yeah, it's cool, etc. Still do some kind of business plan before, some kind of study of the market, because if you have the great idea, probably other people also have them. Maybe they do it worse than you, so you can also be some kind of inspired or thing like that. But have a look before trying still. And why I'm saying that is because then we were failing it. In the time when we were failing that, we still had the server machine of our own this time. We paid by ourselves. And we have all that power of computing that we didn't use because we didn't have anything to do anymore. And one day, there is a guy that we didn't know. He came on our vocal server. And he said, hey, hi, I'm Sebastian. If you let me use your server, I can build you something really big with 30,000 players in like 2 or 3 months. And we were like, why we will give you our server, etc., or technology, etc. And he was like, I don't know, as you wish. And we were like, we don't have nothing to lose. In fact, we have nothing to lose. And this is the really interesting point here is like when you are doing entrepreneurship, don't be afraid to ask people to get some resources. For example, at the Innovation Village, you will get some credit for cloud computing, for website, for things like that, for free just because you are trying. Actually, a lot of people, they admire, or they don't admire, but they are like, I don't care. And they have some resources they don't use, so they may share with you. So we did that, and 2 months after, we had 30,000 people register on the website and everything. So it worked, and it was just because we didn't have... So yeah, basically the question is, don't ask you why you should do something, but more why you shouldn't, especially if you have something that you don't use. So if you're stagnant by that, if you fail, if you don't have clients, etc. Also, don't be afraid to change a bit your project, to be open to other ideas. Of course, if you stay motivated, because if your idea completely changes and you are not motivated anymore, don't do it. But pivot. This is something you will heard a lot in the entrepreneurship spirit. It's pivoting, the action of changing the goal of your company a bit, sometimes a bit more, according to what really the market wants and what you had a discussion with the client, etc. So don't be afraid to change and to share your resources if you have more resources, because you can learn things and you can share. And at EHL Innovation Village, you will get a lot also with that. Also, yeah, learning is nice, and that's what I said. Learning is more... it's more to... I just have to change... Learning is nice, and it's better if you are motivated and in contact with the real thing. So after the high school, after the high school, I wanted to do also another project with a small video game on the web. So I did that, and I really learned a lot at that moment, because I really have to deal with how can I do that for my player. I have 1,000 players at that time, but this was directly in contact with me, and everything I was coding, they were directly touching it. This is when you are doing a restaurant, when you are doing a small business, etc., you will really learn a lot from that also by interacting with them. And it was a really nice experience. But yeah, that's why I'm saying that. And you learn, of course, better if you are motivated. And this is already what I said before. I was to EPFL before. I was thinking EPFL, so for those that don't know, EPFL is the technical school of Switzerland. There is another one. You get really good engineer, and you are thinking before, if you go there, okay, I want to create stuff, I want to do a startup, I want to be the next Likon, I don't know. I will go to EPFL because there is a lot of things to create and stuff. But the problem is, you arrive at EPFL, you have the bachelor to do, 3 years of full theory to do, which in fact you have to work. Most of the people, there are still some people that succeed, I don't know, I want to know, please tell me. But most of the people have to work a lot, like 8, 10, 12-hour days, so you don't get the time to do your own project. You don't have even the opportunity because you are only getting theory. And for example, in EHL, you will have projects from industry directly, like even in the bachelor before the SEP, FBP, we already have projects with companies sometimes. So it's really more interesting and to create something by yourself directly and not having only theory. Of course, EPFL is really great also. So if you are more the kind of people that really want to do theoretical stuff in the beginning and then having the opportunity, if you are really patient and etc., you can also go to EPFL, but I'm just showing you the difference. So yeah, what's better at the end is what is good for you. And now, we go to the quiz again. So next part, resources. Is it fine? I don't speak too fast or all good? Good. So starting the next question. This question rewards more points for fast answer. Good. So let's continue, but final point I wanted to say about that is EHL and EPFL make also a lot of entrepreneur, and most of the case, maybe EHL will make you more often as an entrepreneur, because you have the occasion to create something more often, like restaurant or like a hotel or something like that, but also in the industry, your own project, your own ideas, etc. And it's way more easy because EHL will provide you also a bachelor that gives you a lot of different point of view on how to create a company, the accounting, the laws, the everything like that, which doesn't necessarily give you in EPFL. So that's a bit the reason also. But of course, like being an entrepreneur can be classical entrepreneur or can be like more startup, more risky. In all the case, you have the opportunity in both schools, of course. San Francisco. So, yeah, still loading something, sorry. So I will continue in the same time. Okay, San Francisco. So the thing, where is my paper? So the thing is that after I got to high school, I started, as I said, I was in EPFL. At the time when I was in EPFL, I did an application because one day I was in the metro. I saw a Facebook group with 2,000 people that were complaining about a train that were always coming late. And the problem on that train is it was a regular, like a metro, a tram or something. So the problem of that train in Lausanne is that you didn't have the real-time schedule of you didn't know in real time where was your train. You have only the fixed timetable, which was always wrong. So the people were complaining, and me, I was like, maybe I can create an app where the people, if they are in a stop and they see the train is not coming, they can say, oh, my train is late. And if they do that on the app, everyone on the next stop after will have the warning, the train is set as late by someone for 5 minutes. And it will compute again the timetable for the people there in the next part of the line. So actually we got, I published that on the group and I got like 2,000 downloads. So it really worked for a time, and it was just a small idea like that came. Really interesting, but why I'm talking about that, so you will see. But most of the thing is, because of that, I was in the newspaper, in a local newspaper, and the Banque Cantonale of the Vaud, like the bank here, they saw that and they were like, so at that time they were taking 10 different students every year to go in San Francisco and to visit startups, to visit companies, to visit things like that. We visited Facebook, Google, but also more classical like Evernote, etc. Really interesting to network, but mostly to discover at the time because I was still also young. And they did that because they wanted to send entrepreneur every time. So you will have occasion like that, because I also had some occasion with EHL, etc. like that. And try to seize them, because it's really interesting also to get some other point of view, etc. and to learn from that. But at that time, in the travel, there was a guest. The guest is Patrick Delarive. It's a really famous entrepreneur in the area, in the real estate mostly. So he came with us, and I was in the Google shop. I was trying to get some souvenir from Google, and the problem is like I didn't have the cash, and my card didn't work. And Patrick Delarive was next to me, and he was like, I asked him, so I just start recording again. So I wanted to borrow him some money to be able to pay that. So I asked him. I didn't know that person at that time. So I just randomly asked someone to take some money, and he said, okay, I will give you the $23 that I was missing. The first thing I did when I came back to the hotel, of course, is to get the money to give him back the next day. And the next day, we were in Autodesk. It was a big IT company on the pier in San Francisco next to the sea. And I had the money ready. I put it in my back pocket to have the exact amount, so I can just give it like that. Why? Because the idea was, okay, he will expect me to give him the money. If I don't give him the money first, maybe he will ask, maybe he forgot, maybe something like that. And he will ask me later, like 2 or 3 hours later. And of course, if he doesn't ask at the end of the day, I will give him. But that's what happened. He asked me later, like maybe probably was like, oh, maybe he forgot. So I was in front of him and I said, oh, of course. And I give him the exact amount. Why I did that? It's because it gave a bit of impression like I didn't forget you. But also, it's not impressed, but it stays as a souvenir. Like you don't expect the people to have the exact amount really like that. So why that story? Because you have 2 ways of making a good impression. At EHL, we will tell you a lot of time, you have only one chance to make a good impression, but in fact, you have 2 ways of doing it. You have the passive way and you have the active way. The passive way is doing what we expect you to do, like giving the money directly, or, oh yeah, I have your money, you take back, you count, etc. Anyway, it's giving a good impression because you do what we expect from you, you do a good service, etc. But it's more passive because you don't take initiative. The active way is trying to make the people have a souvenir of you that is something special also, and then you have to try to find a way to do that. And it's really useful for networking. So already now you can try to do things like that just to try to give an impression that will stay in the people and they will remember you as the girl or the guy that did that or that and that, etc. In a nice way, of course. So when you have an occasion to do a good impression in an active way, try to do it because it will make the people keep you in mind and sharing approach and things like that, contacts, etc. It's really good to have more contact and networking, etc. So yeah, you don't necessarily have that occasion in other schools because in other school you will not have so much contacts with the industry, etc. So EHL can provide you that, which is really nice also. And voila. So I was talking about my app for the transport that I did. When I came back from the small trip, there was Stéphane Benoit Godet, the redactor of a newspaper, that writes something like, oh yeah, the younger of the team even wanted to split his EPFL year to have more time and do more projects. But it failed. I mean, I failed EPFL, so it didn't work. It was kind of a joke. And why I'm saying that is because another really important point about networking, I was on Facebook. The first newspaper that wanted to write something on me about the application I did, it was a lady that contacted me on Facebook. I answered and everything. But in the same time, there was another guy from a bigger journal, really more for the area. And he contacted me on Facebook also, saying, oh yeah, I want to write a story about you, etc. I didn't answer. Why would you not answer? That's the question. But I didn't answer. Then the small newspaper did the article, and he came back to me on Facebook again, and he said, oh, now I understand why you didn't answer to me. You were already talking with the other one. And in fact, the problem is, when you create an account on Facebook before 18, everyone that is not a friend of friend, or your direct friend, it will go in the spam, what they say. So the journalist that got me on Facebook, she was a friend of a friend. I got the message. The other guy, no, it was in the spam. And I saw the message only 1 month later. So I explained the situation. And because of that, it feel a bit guilty, of course. So I tried to have an opportunity to visit the newspaper office to get something new, to make some contact, etc. And I guess invite me a bit because of that also. And it was really great to talk with him, to discover his work, etc. So even the bad communication can make a great occasion. But why I'm saying that is because when you have a project, you may want a partner, and you went, for example, I don't know, work with Nestlé. So you look on the internet, what is the email address, and maybe you will find info@nestle.ch. You will send a message. Sometimes it can work because the people can see your message and can have a look on that, etc. But most of the time, if you send the email on the generic address, it can end up in the spam for them, even if it's a good idea or something like that. So really important thing is try always to have a direct contact with the people, see on LinkedIn who is working for what, trying to get in touch and trying to have a personal email address like the other journalist that was friend of a friend. What's happening?
Sorry, I think we finished at 10:30.
Ah, it's already 10:30?
Yeah.
Oh, we were a bit slower this time. Okay. Huh?
10:30?
Okay. So I will finish soon. So, okay. Anyway, that's the point here. Concept business training, it was another occasion in EHL, in the Innovation Village. You get the occasion with EPFL to do our courses together. Really interesting one. So basically just launch yourself on that kind of occasion. I was also doing my internship for AP in a hotel, in a family hotel. I got some time in the same time because it was family hotel, so not always so much people. And because I have some time, I did a project. And the project I did, it was just random. It's like every day they were printing some day travel cards for every guest. So it took like 1 hour every morning to do that. And I found a way to make it automatic. And the director was happy about that. So because I have some time, and this is what they do in Google and other companies, give time to employees. So later when you really achieve or when you have your company, don't be afraid to give some time also to have some idea, etc. And EHL, we also give you some time. This is also a really interesting point. So I have the idea, I did that, and it was nice for that reason. And because of that, sorry, now I'm a bit stressed with the time. Okay, the second stage, the business concept training is the thing I said you got the occasion in EHL, and we went on a trip to Paris with that also, with the project we did. So you have such kind of occasion, even if you don't have a project, because in that course you can join another project. So you will have that kind of opportunity. You will have coaching from Innovation Village also and things like that. City2 Player is for another time. It's another thing I did at that time. I mean, now it's still my biggest project, but... the final point about that is it's not always easy, but EHL will be the better time in your life probably to try something because you have the support from Innovation Village for people, etc. And you have more time and you have more opportunities also to be seized. Final point is like the thing I developed for the hotel. The next day, I show it to my colleagues that were working there for 10 years. And she said to me, I'm really hungry about you. I was like, why? I did something cool, no? And she said, but what will I do now in the morning? I will be bored. So I was like, of course she was a bit joking. But the point is like, again, if you do an idea, still try to see if there is a demand for that, if there is a need, or just do it for the fun. That's the final point. Don't be afraid to be disruptive. I think we have a final quiz and then the chocolate. So let me look. Okay. Networking. Last question. There is 2 more questions, I mean. Let me take the chocolate. Thank you, guys. I hope it was interesting. So, have a nice day. Thank you. I hope you had a great week also.